Welcome everyone to the North Dakota Local Foods Development Alliance monthly meeting. I'm Ellen, I'm on the board here, and Stephanie couldn't be with us today. She's getting ready to travel, so I'm gonna host the meeting for us today. I guess we could just start out with the welcome. So we'll go around, and if everyone can just state their name, where they are, their location, and then if you work with an organization, state that. And then we have a warm-up question today, and it is, happy spring. What are you most excited about? It doesn't feel like spring yet, but it's coming sooner than later. So Felicity, do you want to just go ahead and start us off there, and I'll just call on people as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Felicity Merritt. I am located in Fargo, North Dakota, where I work remotely for farms. We do beginning farmer and small sustainable farmer education and support. And I work with all of our educational programs. And I am most excited for spring because I'm very excited to not have to shovel any snow anymore. I really enjoy like summer yard work. I find mowing the lawn to be very therapeutic, but shoveling not so much. So I'm very excited for that part to be over.
Yeah, totally agree. Jan, do you want to go next?
Yep, sure thing. Jan Stankiewicz. I'm a community health and nutrition specialist with NDSU Extension. I'm in Bismarck, and I am one of the board members for NDLFDA. Something that I'm looking forward to spring. Yeah, Felicity, I'm with you. It just seems so far off. I'm gonna say, like, right now, the predictions for Bismarck snow, I can tolerate. So that's what I'm happy about right now. And I hope that I'm not wrong.
Thanks, Jan. Amanda, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Amanda Olson. I work for Department of Public Instruction. I am in the Child Nutrition and Food Distribution Office. I was just recently hired as a farm to school specialist in February. And I've met Jenna and Jan before, so nice to see you guys again, and I'm happy to be here. I actually worked for North Dakota Farmers Union for 10 years prior, so I knew Stephanie well. Her and I actually grew up both in Drake, so I knew her prior to her being part of farms as well. So it's great to be here. The thing I'm excited for in spring is, sounds weird, but I'm actually looking forward to just seeing mud. Like I have a toddler at home, and I'm excited for her to get into some puddles and see mud, and like just to be outside without a coat and not having to drug along a bunch of hat and coats and everything. So I'm just excited. You just walk outside and you're just you. You don't need anything else.
Nice. Thanks, Amanda. Jenna.
Hello, my name is Jenna Nieders. I am in Bismarck as well. I'm the local foods coordinator with Bismarck Parks and Recreation. And what I'm most excited for spring, I guess, there's like an 8-foot snow hill like taking up 3/4 of my driveway right now. So I'm excited for all that to melt. And then, yeah, just seeing the color green again, like seeing green grass and green trees. And that's what I'm most excited for.
Shelby.
Hello, I am Shelby. I am the communications coordinator for farms. I am in Rugby, North Dakota, working remotely. I am excited to just, be outside without a coat on, go for walks and not have to worry about slipping or snow. Just warmer weather.
Thanks, Shelby. It's nice to put a face to the name too. I know you do a lot behind the scenes for North Dakota Local Foods Alliance and Farms. So nice to meet you. And then we have Deanna. Hi.
Hi, I'm Deanna Lozensky. I own and operate Guardian Grains here in central North Dakota, just south of Minot. We're halfway between Minot and Max. And what am I excited about for spring? Well, we're farmers, so we'd like to put the crop in the ground. And I have 2 hoop houses that we utilize for our own vegetables. So that'll be nice to have fresh vegetables again because ours are gone now. So, so yeah.
How are the hoop houses standing up with all this snow? Are they doing pretty good?
They do very well. They're double lined, so there's air between 2 layers of plastic, so it sheds off snow and ice very well. If they
Nice.
didn't have the air in between, they would have been down a long time ago. So we don't have too much trouble with them,
That's
luckily.
good. Nice.
Mhm.
Quinn, I don't know if you can introduce yourself quick, but go ahead if you can. He is,
Our moment. It's pretty nice out. Can't complain. Like spring gets here early, but things I'm most excited for, just it being warm if you don't go outside, like everyone else said, and getting the plants in the ground. I have a farm south of Minot, North Dakota, and then I'm the board president for Red River Harvest Cooperative out of the Ardmorehead area. So, hello everyone.
thanks, Quinn. And
I'm-
I'm Ellen.
I'm
Knudsen.
wondering where you are, Quinn, because there's no snow there.
I'm down by Pueblo West, Colorado.
Gotcha.
So the southern portion. Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm Ellen Knudsen Duffy. I am located in Bismarck. I'm a board member of North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance, farmer, entrepreneur, kind of into a lot of different things. But I care a lot about local foods and eating healthy. And I'm really excited to see my garlic pop out of the ground. It's the only place in my yard not covered in snow for some reason. So maybe it'll come up and I'll see it before everything else is melted, but yeah. So thanks for being here today. We don't have a guest speaker or anything. It's more so we wanted to have an informal conversation about how to support Bismarck area producers with the closing of the Bisman Food Co-op, where a lot of them sold their product. I was also one of those producers that sold there, and I'm imagining that Deanna, you probably sold there as well. Yeah. So we're kind of just brainstorming, like, what does this mean for our community, and how do we best, find channels for revenue streams for our local producers. So does anyone want to start it off with their ideas? I'd love to hear ideas of what people in other communities are seeing local producers do as well. So.
I could speak to that a little bit if I may. So in the Fargo-Moorhead area, we formed the Red River Harvest Cooperative, which we're a producer cooperative versus a consumer cooperative. And the primary focus there was, assuming the producers knew what we were doing enough to aggregate our own product collectively, we, created an online platform where all of our customers could find all of our products together. And then we share a pickup spot with a delivery service that we have available for our customers on a week-to-week basis. It's been a situation where we've had a really good relationship with our landlord, so that's managed or helped us keep our costs low, especially in the very beginning. And so I would say that was probably one of the major factors that allowed us to be successful and now coming into our 3rd season. And what we've learned from that is you really need a strong leadership structure in place to successfully, run a cooperative in that capacity and, basically an online farmers market. So with that, you're also going to need a lot of support staff. And, we've been lucky enough that most of the board members are volunteering their time to help with things. So we've definitely benefited from everyone's passion that went into that. But to say that we have the answer in what it takes to operate a successful food hub over a sustainable amount of time, that is yet to be seen. So I would say that, we just knew that we had to do something from the get-go. It was about a year after Prairie Woods had closed and we were in the pandemic. So we all knew that we wanted to get product to people's doorsteps coming into the 2021 season. So that just gave us the motivation to come together and at least begin the conversation. And like I said, we're still trying to figure out what the best way forward is to operating sustainably. But yeah, that's kind of what we did in the Fargo-Moorhead area.
Quinn, is that registered as a 501c3 nonprofit or?
Nope, we are a for-profit organization.
Okay, got it. And would you, like, you are, I suppose you don't have any like paid staff at this point, but do you see opportunity in the future to
We actually have two.
have that, or?
We actually have two employees, two registered and legal employees. We got the opportunity to participate in a farmers market promotional program grant that was awarded to the University of Minnesota in partnership with Minnesota Department of Ag. And since we're kind of on the border with, North Dakota, Minnesota, we have Moorhead, and they decided that that was a primary focus for operation mobile irrigation sites, and so they're able to do food processing. We already had like that, and through that we got about $15,000-ish the first year in grant money. I'd say about 12,000 of that was legal market labor, and then to get another about $11,000 on average for labor. And so that has allowed us to pay for an employee to be there for our irrigation sites on Wednesdays. And Candace Anderson, she's our operations and the site manager. And then we also have one more employee, Bjorn Solberg, who also is the owner of Hughes Gardens.
Oh, looks like we lost him. I think I got most of that. They got a grant to have an employee for a period of time. Looks like he's joining us again.
Hey, sorry, when did I cut out?
Yeah, you're kind of cutting out a little bit, but I think we got most of, or some of that anyway.
Okay, yeah, we have two employees, so that was
Cool.
the moral of the story.
Okay.
Yep.
Through grant funding.
Yes.
Nice.
And I would say that, yeah, you're going to need to have a paid staff. There's no way around that. So whatever way of putting together a food hub in this capacity, you're going to want to pay your people. So factor that in.
Yep. Jenna, go ahead if you have a question or comment.
I was just going to say, I have been working with a lot of the local producers here in Bismarck through Farm to School with BPS. And we've got about 10 people, 10 producers on, and a lot of the people we took on we would have been co-op producers. And I just wanted to say what Quinn mentioned about the paid staff is definitely something to focus on, because when we were trying this with BPS, we were originally trying to hire on Sammy, the produce manager from the co-op, into BPS so she could do like a good deal of that processing, which is, what the co-op was so great for, especially for the farm to school program. And it just ended up not working out, like creating a position for her within BPS. And so now it's kind of like, okay, we're going to have to add it to the lunch ladies who already have like these full kind of schedules. Yeah. So definitely like the staff to kind of support those areas is really important. I agree, and kind of critical.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
I would say too, I know in Bismarck, like Jenna, myself, and a couple of other farmers market folks have kind of just been kind of thinking about how farmers markets can fill a role for potential producers. Knowing it's totally different markets, retail or schools and farmers markets, they're all very different. But I do know that all of the farmers markets within Bismarck are always looking for more like fruit and veggie producers. So, so just thinking of, like what that looks like for farmers markets and the producers that were a part of the co-op. So I know that applications are coming open right now, so.
Nice. I have never done farmer's market as a grower because just the time commitment on weekends is really hard. And I've always wanted to be intentional with my time and my life and not overcommit myself. So the co-op was a good place to sell, produce directly on my own time. And then I also sell to Papa's Pumpkin Patch. And so it's like a nice, easy, you just take all your stuff and you drop it. And I know there's probably a lot of farmers that they don't want to commit to a farmer's
Mhm.
market every weekend or even multiple times a week. So that's why the farm to school program is so great too, because that is a great resource to it's easier, like less time commitment to do it that way, but it takes all the channels, I think, to make it work.
And Bismarck Public Schools has been really good about they're really dedicated to increasing like the number of farmers that they can support, and also being very mindful of making sure that like their systems and processes don't get too like thinned out and stretched out so that it's like administratively cumbersome once they get to the point of, if they really do increase the number of farmers and the number of products and pounds. So it's just like a little bit of a balance right now where they really want to kind of increase it, but paying attention to how. So like if a farmer they've been good about taking just like extra things like on a weekly basis or every other week. And so it'll be interesting, like once they get to that tipping point of like, okay, we kind of have to be a little bit more firm with poundage or drop-offs and that sort of thing. But I think they're really willing to work with folks too. So if farmers haven't looked into farm to school, Bismarck Public Schools is a really good first step.
Yeah. Deanna, I'm wondering if you at all would want to talk about like, how did that impact you when the co-op closed? Did you sell a lot of product to them, or where are your revenue streams mostly?
Sure. So when we first started selling at the co-op, it was a little bit slow because we sell whole grain in the bulk section at first. That's what it was. And so it was a little bit slow, but it was nice to have the visibility in the co-op. And then when we started selling flour and pasta, it just kind of picked up. And unfortunately, I was left with a bill that didn't get paid. I think I'm not the only one that happened to. So, but up until that point, the experience with the co-op was really great. And we miss not having that connection for the Bismarck area. So now all of my products, whether it's whole grain or stone milled flour or pasta, now just ship from our production facility in Tuttle. So now they ship direct to consumer. And then we're also in Terry's health food store. But I only have the pasta there because I don't like the flour sitting on the shelf. I'd rather mill that as it's ordered. So that just it's just the pasta there at Terry's now. And we're in a couple of small mom and pop shops across the state.
Cool. My Tuttle connection is I put in that community orchard a few years back at the school.
Ah, you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. I
Oh,
got to
very
work with
cool.
Sid and all those guys up there. And then there was like an AmeriCorps team that came and
Yeah.
helped me a day or two. So,
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's it. What they're trying to do there is really great. And we're initially when we started renting the space a year ago, it was just going to be for a year. And until I could move it, my big stone mill, because we have a 26-inch New American stone mill there that produces flour. We were planning on just using the facility for a year until we could move it closer to home. And now I don't ever want to leave Tuttle.
Mhm.
The community has been really great for us, and we have 2 teammates that work there Monday through Friday, producing flour and pasta and shipping whole grain from the Tuttle Rural Innovation Center. So now I never want to leave there.
Awesome.
So, and the infrastructure is there, and if I don't rent that commercial kitchen from them, who will?
Right.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's already there. It's existing infrastructure. There's no reason for me to reinvent the wheel here on my farm when it's already there.
Yeah.
It's 110 miles from me, but like I said, my 2 teammates live right outside of town and they run the show there. They
Yeah.
get credit for everything they do there. So all I do is bring the grain.
Cool.
yeah.
And there's that amazing pasta machine there still, right? Is that what you're
Well,
using?
that's what we use.
Yeah. Awesome.
And that,
Cool.
do you know, that was never the idea. The idea was I was just going to go to one of these pasta companies around the state and have them co-pack my pasta. And they were willing to take flour from me, but it wasn't stone milled flour, and I wanted whole nutrition pasta, and they couldn't do that. And whatever flour I did bring, they couldn't guarantee that the pasta I got back was from the flour I brought. So there, I lost traceability then. Because I can basically trace the pasta to the field, right? If we do it ourselves. And so when I got word from Northern Crop Institute at NDSU that oh, Tuttle's looking for a project, I thought they were running a pasta company. Like, I didn't know. And so when I called there and I was so excited to talk to the coordinator at the time. And I was like, how many days do you produce pasta? How many pounds can you produce? I mean, what? I asked all the questions. She's like, wait, we don't produce it here. I was like, wait, what? She's like, no, we want to rent out the space. I was like, wait, what? I don't know how to make pasta, right? Oh, I didn't know anything about it. So it was a quick lesson in stone milling flour and producing pasta. And now we get to utilize the pasta machine that's there. It's really been aligning, basically an alignment of all the stars, right? To get this thing to work out. And as of April 1st, we'll have been in full production for a year. And we just started working with the Great Plains Food Bank and delivering 800 pounds of pasta to them every month.
Wow.
That they will distribute on their own. So that's pretty exciting because we've been working to get into different schools, but we've met a lot of roadblocks, mostly because they're just not willing to test it out in their school first with pasta, because it's not blonde, right? It's a different color. It doesn't look quite the same. And so even though I'm like, try it for free, let me come in and take a tally and take honest assessment of what these kids think, I still get a bunch of no's. So, and it all had to be parboiled. Did you know that? To go into the school? Sorry, hold on. Yeah, so the chef, the cooks in the schools don't have time to boil water for noodles. And so when we first were in talks with Bismarck Public Schools, she was like, well, I would need them parboiled. And I was like, okay, so you want me to grow the grain, stone mill the flour, produce the pasta, and now I have to par cook it for you too. Like, it was like a lot. So I couldn't commit to that. So here we are, just going direct to consumer, which I love too. So.
And there's probably a big market still there to capitalize on for you too. So, yeah. That's cool.
It's growing. It's growing all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say too, another thing, when Deanna, you were mentioning the processing and, like the pre-cooking for public schools. And I think lots of times this is the case with maybe more so the bigger school districts in North Dakota, is that they don't have like full cook kitchens. And then that was the piece, another piece where the co-op was going to come in, is to do some of the processing for the farm to school stuff. So I think that was another piece, that a way to kind of increase production would be that the facilities at the co-op and the kitchen space and the people would be able, like, process, whether it's zucchini or tomatoes or green beans or parboiling pasta, like it would be, that would have been the place. And so then that is also missing now too, when thinking about those sorts of things.
I know no one's here directly from the co-op, but I know they had that grant that was part of that, right? Jan, does anyone have any knowledge of what the status of that is?
Yeah, I don't know. Jenna, have you talked to Michelle at all at public schools about the grant piece?
I haven't, and I knew one of the newer board members who came on just before it shut down, and she said she didn't have any other information. I think her name is Mariah Ralston Darragon. She was saying that before it shut down, she was wanting, I think, to reapply, either maybe it was for that same grant or it was for a different one. And I think it was a board decision not to, just to kind of cut it there, to not keep it running. So I don't know if that's the exact same grant. I could actually follow up with her, but I did let her know about this meeting, and she said she couldn't make it, but she said she didn't have any additional information. So I can definitely reach out to Michelle with BPS for sure to see if she knows any more about that. Yeah. I did just want to say too, Deanna, I'm glad that you mentioned the Great Plains Food Bank, because my husband actually just recently switched from US Foods to Great Plains Food Bank, and he's like a food resource manager there now. And
What's his name?
His name's Grant Needers.
Yeah, did I just meet him when I delivered? I feel like
Maybe.
I did.
He just started like a little bit ago. But yeah, so that's like part of his job, is to try to get, you know, the food from different local producers. And I know when I first heard of like Great Plains Food Bank buying food from local producers, I was like, oh, so they'd have to like donate. And he's like, no, like we have budget. It's not like anyone's donating anything. So that is an avenue. I just can't say for certain, you know, what Great Plains wants or doesn't want, but I can definitely pass on his information as well too. And then as far as like the BPS, that's what we wanted Sammy to do, is process all the extra produce that, you know, even came in before school started. So if we had someone to process, freeze, put it away, then we could start taking produce in early August instead of waiting till end of August. But just to give you a picture for Bismarck Public Schools, I think when I was talking to Gina and Michelle, they go through 200 pounds of just veggies per day per elementary school. And that ends up being like 2,000 pounds a week, just for the elementary schools. And so, yeah, I was kind of surprised at the whole everything needs to come in pre-cooked, par-baked kind of thing too. But yeah, it's wild. They're feeding a lot of mouths and they don't have a lot of time.
Right. And Bismarck Public School goes through 30,000 pounds of rotini pasta a year.
Wow.
30,000 pounds. Yep.
And that's too where they have been pretty good up to this point, is like, you know, when a local farmer is like, I can't supply 30,000 pounds, or I can't supply 2,000 pounds a week, they don't require that of any of their farmers. They like, you know, it's just like having the conversations like, yep, I can do 100 pounds a week, or I can maybe do 100 pounds a week, but if I don't, like, I can do 60, you know. And so then they've been open to working with those kinds of numbers. They don't ever expect that any one producer will be able to provide lots of it.
Yeah.
Right. And the only thing I think that we're kind of looking and streamlining the process now without the co-op is like, we need to have produce that comes in. It needs to, you know, be able to hold for a week before it gets out to the school. Whereas with the co-op, you know, like it can be sold in store that day, you know. It's just kind of was just such a nice like middle stopping ground for everything. And so, yeah, it's almost like we're with the BPS farm to school. It's almost like we're starting all over again, because we had to go through the bid process and contracts. And that's also been like a learning curve for a lot of our producers, because a lot of them, you know, the co-op just cut them a check and they could go on their way. They didn't have to do all the paperwork and admin stuff. But unfortunately, when it's the BPS, it just has to be that way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, with the co-op closing, another thing that's like missing in our community now is like that gathering space around food and the connection. And I think we do a pretty good job of that in the summertime in Bismarck, Mandan, with the great farmers markets we have. But then that just ends so abruptly in the winter. And I've just been thinking, like, I've been traveling and we were in Arizona and they had this like a shipping container park, and each shipping container had like its own little, like one was a bar, one was a restaurant, there was like a artist stand, there's like all these little micro businesses, and then they had this big open air gathering space in the middle with tables, and it was like a courtyard market. And of course we couldn't do that here in the same way, like outdoors, it's just so much more restrictive. But I would love to see something like that. Like in San Francisco, they have the oh, what is it called now? It's like the depot building on the side of the wharf, and it used to be a train station, and then they turned that into like all these little micro businesses, and there's just like a big hallway down the middle. So it's like a farmer's market, but it's indoors. I would love to see something like that happen in our communities. And I think Fargo might be a little more progressive on that. You guys just had Brewhalla open, which looks really cool. But
That's what I was gonna say. I think Brewhalla is pretty close to being that for an inside space, isn't it?
yeah, it looks awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's also a lot of money, and it is like Drecker is a very successful brewery that is able to put a lot of money toward that, which
Yeah.
It's awesome. But I'm just like, it was many years like in the making to
Yeah.
get that started.
Yeah, something like that definitely takes time and relationship building and partnering with industry that would have money to put behind something like that, and maybe a developer. The city of Fargo, I'm sure, maybe had something to do with that, supporting that. So, but we're all smart people in this room, you know.
I saw Amanda's question is if there's been any talk about starting another co-op, and I know Quinn talked about the Red River Harvest Co-op, but something like that. I'm not in the Bismarck area, but I imagine it feels a little more attainable than, starting small. You would need space to aggregate food, but there's other than that, there's like very low overhead, and I don't know is that something that Bismarck area producers would be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, Felicity. I think some of the conversations that we've had in the past, it seems to always, like the missing link is always like, who would be like the backbone organization of it? And I don't know I don't know all the answers or all the conversations happening, but I'm not sure of anybody who is ready to step into that at the moment. Again, not saying that nobody is, but I just don't know of it. And in the past too, it was kind of like the producers in the area, like they were ready for it if it was going to be ready for them. So
Yeah.
I know that in Fargo, it was lots of the producers doing it and kind of making it happen. So I don't really know where that's at now.
I was thinking when Jenna was talking about Great Plains Food Bank and, them buying from producers too. I don't know if they've ever been approached, but they have a warehouse in Bismarck, right? And it's finished. I wonder, even if it's small scale, I wonder if they've ever thought about being maybe the hub that, could be accessed, because they can warehouse a lot of food. Um, However, it's probably at capacity of what they have to deliver out to the state for pantries and things like that too. But um, maybe it's a in between spot while something else is being produced. But um, it would be interesting to ask them if they've ever thought about having that kind of space for that, since they're already willing to reach out to local producers to get extra. So
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'd love to have more producers on these calls too, to, like, how do you solve problems for people that you don't know what their problems are? And it feels a little bit like speculation when we, like, I'm a producer, but that is not my main source of income. And it would be great to have more input from farmers to see what they actually do need.
I was gonna say, I'm not even sure how I got the email about today's meeting, and I was like, "What's this? It looks like fun." So,
Nice.
and I just happened to be having office time today, so I was like, so yeah, I think spreading the message is a good place to start because I'm not even sure how I got the email.
Nice.
So, however I did get it, I'm super glad. So, thank you.
I did go through the Bisman Co-op website and I took everyone's email who's on their producer list. And so now this organization, the Local Food Development Alliance, has that email list in our drive. I don't know if those are all completely up to date. It got to you, so that's great. But it was whatever emails that they had provided to the co-op, and I just took from that website. So we have that list, and we could maybe organize a meeting specific to the producers of the co-op, and more of like a listening session. I can put that down on as a thing that we can try and get scheduled.
Yeah, definitely not something we'll solve in 1 hour meeting, but it is good to be talking about it. And, even not only because the food co-op closed, but just because we want to support local foods across our whole state. And that's part of our mission as North Dakota Local Foods Development Alliance. So the more people we can get on these calls and start talking about it, I think the more positive impact we can make. So I'm glad you came today, Deanna. I'm glad you got the email. I feel like we probably could move into if there's member updates, because we only have 20 minutes left on the call here, and just there's a few board updates at the end as well. Does anyone have, I guess I should ask too, like anything else we want to discuss or put some things to think about in the future for meetings with the local producers in Bismarck, Mandan and beyond? We'll start there maybe, and then we can go into member updates.
I think it would definitely be worthwhile to kind of track down what happened to that grant, which I know we talked a little bit about. But I know that funding was for processing food from local producers. And I don't know who was like the head on that, if we could try and get to that person, because all of managing a grant is a lot of work, but all of that work of getting that grant and that money was awarded. So if we could find a way to salvage that, maybe some of that money could go toward, like Jenna talked about, trying to hire someone to coordinate some of the processing, or it could go toward renting a small space in a commercial kitchen or something. It would just be such a shame if that got lost. So I was like, I can volunteer some of my time, or if someone else has an idea of where to start with this, I think it's definitely worth our time to figure out what the status is with that.
Yeah, I think that would be Michelle Wagner at Bismarck Public Schools. Like, so they weren't the lead applicant, the co-op was, but she was heavily involved. So yeah, so Jenna, if you talk to Michelle, or I'm happy to, or if you want to, I'm happy to help out too in those conversations if needed. But
I can definitely shoot her an email and just see what she says and kind of forward it to I mean, yeah, whatever information she has, I can definitely pass along to you guys.
And who is the granting agency on that? Does anybody know?
It's a USDA rural development grant.
Yeah.
Okay, through the state of North Dakota office, I'm sure.
I thought it was federal.
Federal, okay.
And I think it was like the Healthy Food Financing Initiative or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it was a fairly new grant program as well. But yeah, it is. It's the USDA Rural Development Healthy Food Financing Initiative is what it's called.
Okay. I would suspect that if they did get the funds already, that then that goes into the bankruptcy. The bank that is in charge of that probably took control of that and we wouldn't be able to utilize that. But if it was by chance not all dispersed and part of that was left over, maybe it could be transferred to another organization that had the same mission and goals. But yeah, it'd probably be a conversation with just finding Michelle maybe, and then the granting agency, have a conversation there. So I guess we'll just move into member updates. Does anyone have anything they know of? I know it's grant season and things are available now for lots of different things.
I can give a short update. At Farms, we have opened applications for our Sustainable Ag Internship program. So we place interns on small farms throughout North Dakota. And the interns are paid at $15 an hour. So we match them up with a host farm and they get to attend classes from us and then work on those farms during the summer. In the Bismarck area, Forager Farm is a host site, and I believe they're the only one we have right now in the area, but we have a couple farmers in the Minot area and then Fargo area and Grand Forks area too. So if you, Farms is constantly sharing it out on our social media. So if you know of someone, you can send them our way.
And Felicity, is housing included for those? I guess.
Yeah,
non-students
housing
necessarily,
is
but-
not included. It's kind of structured as like a part-time position. So you wouldn't be living on the farm. It's usually about like 20 hours a week where you
Okay.
are working on the farm.
Cool.
And I just put the link in the chat.
Thanks.
For NDSU extension, I would say that, you know, again, we're getting ready for farmers market season, and extension has, through SNAP Ed, has prioritized getting SNAP authorizations at farmers markets. So in the past couple of years, we've been able to increase those numbers, like right around like 60%. But if you know of farmers markets who are interested and maybe getting ready to or thinking about SNAP authorization, extension can help with the process, provide technical assistance and some of those sorts of things. We don't have any like monetary funding or support, and we can't complete the applications for the farmers markets, but we can help walk through the process. And we also are supporting SNAP at farmers markets with what's called a Food Navigator program. We piloted it in Bismarck last year with an intern from Bismarck Burley Public Health. And it's kind of like, you know, the welcoming people side of getting SNAP at farmers markets. So folks feel welcome at the market. They can kind of understand what vendors you can use a SNAP EBT card, what food items aren't eligible for SNAP. And if the farmers market has an incentive program like a double up or something, they can help out with that too. So it's increasing community connections so that SNAP participants are aware of the program and aware of the farmers markets, and operating hours and that sort of thing. So that's what Extension's got going on for local food stuff.
Anybody else? Updates or announcements?
I actually have a question. So it was recently brought to my attention for value added producer grants in North Dakota. Can any of you give direction on anyone that has written those?
I'm sure I know people that have, and I just don't recall names. I think Stephanie, who's not on this call today, she would probably have some farmers and producers that she knows that has done that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, Ellen.
Yeah, she knows a lot of farmers and has done a lot of grant writing.
Would you do me a favor and either give me her email or ask or send her my email and have, you know, rather than just giving me her email, and I can just like not, maybe she doesn't want to be cold called or you know what I mean?
Cool.
So
Felicity, would you mind connecting them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I can do that. I'm not 100% sure, but I actually think Stephanie has written a value added producer grant herself. So she would be maybe definitely the best person I can think of. So I can, I'll just send you both an email so that you are connected.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think also if you reach out to the program director for the value added goods, like they are super good at helping you walk through the process and taking a look at your application before you submit it. I don't remember who is in charge of that, but I'm sure you can find it online at the application page or something. So
Sure. Well, it had said that if I had questions, I could contact my nearest rural development office.
okay. Yeah.
Is that
So that'd be
like,
under USDA. There's one in Bismarck, but I don't know. That's probably the closest one to you. Because that's like the statewide USDA rural development. It's on Rosser. It's like in the same building as the post office downtown
Okay.
on Rosser, but you'd
sure,
want
I'll
to
look.
email and
Yeah.
then schedule
Very
meetings,
cool.
whatever.
Right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if that's it, I guess there's just a couple North Dakota local foods development updates. This organization's trying to recruit an AmeriCorps Vista. So far, we haven't had any applicants, but that role would be kind of some admin work and scheduling meetings and sending out reminders, and there's a long list of things that they could do, but we are still trying to recruit someone, and it is a paid position. I can't remember what the pay is. Normally Stephanie knows all the details on that. And then there's, like some education credits alongside that. So if anyone has any ideas of someone maybe in college or someone interested in local foods, send them our way. And then we held our board elections for the winter quarter, and that was on March 3rd. We elected Stephanie Bloomhagen as the board chair again, and our vice chair is now Jan. Welcome, Jan, to the vice chair role. And then our board secretary is Keith Knudsen up in Bottineau, and I am the board treasurer. And let's see, Farms also has agreed to do some board development and recruiting services. We're a few members short on our board, but before we kind of reach out for board members, Stephanie and her team are gonna put together some materials to make it a little easier, the transition to becoming a board member and just setting expectations for people to move us along. So that's kind of it from that. We could go a few minutes early unless there's anything else that we missed. Great. All right. Well, thanks for attending, everyone. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and a good week, and we'll look forward to spring coming soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Ellen.
Yep. Nice to meet you all.